I saw this video and I had to make a video about it. This is everything everybody's been saying, but this is no longer it's not a Muslim. This is right wingers, and they have all the receipts. So now my question after all this is, how can so-called Christians out there still follow all this? It's a must-watch. Let's begin.
When I think of a masculine man, you like pop up instantly.
Yeah, you like a Viking, man, in person.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Beard does it.
Right.
Yeah, we've been waiting to get you on the podcast. You've been making rounds on mainstream media and all over the internet. TikTok, I see you everywhere, especially your interviews with Patrick Bet-David and Piers. I think Patrick Bet-David started it all, right?
Yeah, that was kind of the one where I really said, fuck it. And I just, I've been saying on Twitter, and you get away with a lot on Twitter, but I felt like I wanted to say it on a bigger platform, but I just didn't want to lose my Instagram just yet.
Right.
So.
Did you lose your Instagram?
I didn't. Okay. I actually posted some of the clips on there. Well, I take that back because I did post before Piers on there. I posted about Israel being a fucking parasite, but I went a little bit deeper on PBD before PBD I posted on there.
Yeah, I love PBD, and you made him score.
Because he knows I'm right.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
He knows I'm right. So it's tough. It's hard. And I don't think he was ready to tap dance like that either, because I didn't think he thought that I was going to come as strong as I did. I don't think Pierce thought so either.
Right.
Yeah. And so usually they prepare for, what a guy's going to say and know that he's going to probably have boundaries and not just say fuck it.
I was looking at that podcast. You know how you're looking at a podcast, you listen to it, you're like, all right, I ain't listen to this shit. You get bored, you turn it off 15 minutes in. I was like this the whole time.
on the Piers?
And Patrick Bet-David. I was glued to it.
Yeah, that's one that even he didn't know what to do. He didn't know what to say. Everything he said was correct. And all he could do was pimps around, I'm a Christian. I'm supposed to be pro Israel. Oh no. And he just let it all out. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was funny, man. You watched the first 45 minutes and I'm pretty tired because I'd done Chris Williamson before that. And then he started pressing me on Israel and then I woke up pretty quick.
Yeah.
So it was a lot more interesting to talk about than the horrors and whatnot.
Right. Yeah, Piers Morgan, he was flabbergasted. He didn't know what to say. He started just calling you names. He didn't try to refute anything you were saying. He just called you names.
Yeah. Just over and over and over again. It was funny. I saw a clip where they counted how many times he called me an anti-Semite. It was I lost count.
Hey, he didn't call you a liar.
Exactly.
Not one time. He had ample opportunity to call you a liar. And he never said it.
And he would ask me something and I would give him a very fucking direct answer. And then he would just move on to something. He wouldn't respond to it. He wouldn't acknowledge it. He would just move on.
Yeah, he just called you a Nazi.
Yeah, well, that's where he ended with it. Yeah.
And humming attacks. I was like, everything, and I mean, when I listen to you speak, it's not like their opinions per se. I mean, I guess you can say the opinions, but the difference between a fact and opinion is a fact. You can back it up with evidence and you can prove that it's no longer opinion.
Exactly.
The majority of the thing you say sounds pretty factual to me.
Yeah, I didn't just wake up and hate Jews one day. It's not I'm fucking some Hitler advocate or whatever. I had more friends that were Jewish than probably non-Jewish. I'm a rich guy, hang out with fucking rich guys. They just, all seem to be Jewish these days. But yeah, it was not something that I really even considered, and then you just start seeing this stuff and you start seeing what they're doing in Israel. You start seeing our support of Israel to our own detriment. And it just doesn't make any fucking sense. Right? And then you start putting this stuff together like Epstein Island and that's a Mossad operation and that's why they have fucking dirt on our politicians and that's why these guys are just, you look at their tweets. It's literally like somebody took their phone and is just fucking, tweeting blind support for Israel. And you ask why and nobody can give you a straight answer. Right. Nobody can tell you why they're our greatest fucking ally.
They're just God's chosen people.
Until you look into the whole Epstein thing. And he died, where'd all that dirt go? That's why.
Oh, yeah, there's that. And that kind of that's really what set me off is when I found out how much their religion was based on supremacy. You know, and I think when you start off down a road of supremacy, you have a lot of problems because then it's like it's okay to justify a lot of things. It's just like, you know, we kill animals. Animals are, you know, different than humans, right? They don't have the same brain. They don't have the same thought process. So we're able to say, okay, that's fine. You know, you can treat a cow obviously different than a human. And so for them, when they view Palestinians as cattle, then, you know, they can justify a lot. And I think that is the crux of the problem. The crux of the problem to me is their view of supremacy. And it's funny because I said that to Piers and he's like, oh, well, you sound like a Nazi. And it's like, you know, the storyline that we were told was the Nazis were the white supremacists.
Right, that's what I thought.
Right, like they didn't like black people. They didn't like fucking anybody that wasn't Aryan, right? Whatever.
Right.
That was like what we were taught.
Right.
And so when I said that I didn't like Jewish supremacy and I don't like an idea of supremacy, for him to turn around and say, "Oh, well, you sound like a Nazi," I'm like, "Well, it's not what I was told the Nazis said."
Exactly.
I mean, like my idea of what the Nazis are today is very different than it was 5 years ago, just because. Look, when you listen to Hitler's speeches, it's not like, let's gas these fucking Jews. And, you know, you like you hear him and he sounds angry, right? Like back in the day, you would hear this shit and you didn't know what the fuck he was saying, but it's like, oh, he's probably saying fuck these Jews and blah, blah, blah.
Exactly. I got recommended a video on YouTube and it says Hitler's speech transcribed in English. I said, why am I getting recommended this? So I said, fuck it. I popped it out. I said, holy shit.
Yeah.
He didn't sound like a racist to me.
No, because his whole speech was about, oh, you know, how do you gather people? How do you gather people to your movement? And say, oh, you know what? We're better than this. We could come out of this better. On there, it's always somebody else's problem. The Dems, look what they've done to us. You know, that's how. It wasn't anything about I hate these people. No, of course not. What he wouldn't start out that way. Of course not. No, he started out by appealing to emotion, appealing to what they were feeling. That's what all his speeches were about. It's just the fact that people didn't know about this on his speeches. I'm like, yeah, that's how it started. He appealed to people's emotions.
Well, not just that, but like you listen to what he's talking about and it's like, fuck, this sounds like the problems we're having today. Perversion in the cinema, you know, perverting our fucking youth, you know, like the things that he's complaining about, the banking system, you know, all this stuff, it's all problems that we're facing today. And to me, I'm like, man, you start connecting the dots, like, where is this transgender bullshit coming from? Because I don't care if people are gay. I don't care if they're fucking trans. I really don't. I've hired tons of fucking gay assistants. I've had them. I liked them at the parties because they weren't fucking my girls. Well, that's distraction, right? So I've had gay guys around me the whole time. I don't.
This is the part that start getting really interesting.
Give a shit. It's not like I'm anti-gay. I don't give a fuck. And I would tell you if I was, because I really, at this point in my life, I don't give a fuck.
Right.
You know, and it's a lot more popular to be anti-gay than it is anti-Jew. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Right.
But what I saw was this is coming from the Jewish community. Like the Talmud has 8 genders. Like the first transgender clinic was opened by Magnus Hirschfeld, a Jewish guy in Germany in 1919. That's what they closed down. They burned those fucking books. Like,
that's what Hitler was closing down.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And you look at this and it'll tell you that, you know, they don't hide from it. There was actually some transgender woman, man, whatever on TV that was talking about how, you know, the Jewish people were the ones that pioneered this. And that was what the Nazis shut down. She was saying it like a bad thing. And it's like, okay, like I'm not against transgenders, but I'm against it being pushed on children. I'm against, you know, men beating up fucking women in boxing. Like I'm against just the nonsense, like the tampons in the fucking men's bathroom, like just the bullshit.
Just common sense.
Drag queens reading to kids, like just the stuff that like 5 years ago everybody agreed on, and then all of a sudden somehow we just like disagree on these like very basic issues. Like,
and I'm not endorsing anything that Hitler did at all on there. Everything he did was horrible. Everything he did was wrong. That's not how you do any of it. We're just talking about links, where things start. Just throwing that out there. In other words, you know, but there's underlying things that nobody wants to talk about, especially Americans. They want to blind themselves to everything because words are hard and books are scary.
pedophiles are bad.
Right.
I don't know. Like that wasn't something that was
You're
crazy.
gonna get canceled for that one.
Now it's like, oh, a minor attracted person. Like, really, motherfucker, you're trying to like come up with a separate name for these people to try and make them more like acceptable, like socially acceptable. Like it's just, I don't know, man. I look at this stuff and I look at where it's coming from, and that's really where I have the issue, is because it's not a left thing. It is a Jewish thing that's being pushed through the Jewish media. That's where they get these talking points.
Yeah. So my biggest thing, Dan, is they're always willing to call people anti-Semitic. I'm thinking the bigger question we should be asking everybody.
Right there. Male, female, androgynous, having both male and female characteristics. Tum, lacking sexual characteristics. Right there. That's right there. I didn't pull it up. It's right there. And yes, it's true. Now, there are different sects, some even weird ones that believe in reincarnation and all this stuff that just spawns off of that one. And yeah, just like the Quran says, they start writing their own thing. Rewriting, Allah's law. And that's what we get. It's right there in front of us. But, oh no, Islam is actually the bad ones. Christians literally put their hands in the entire sand at the whole time because they don't want to know anything. And books are scary. They don't even read their own Bible, so let alone actually read a book. That's probably beyond them. But this is what it leads to.
Why do you feel that I'm anti-Semitic? Why what happened during World War II? Why did that happen? Why is people pushing back on Jews? They're not asking the right questions. They just want to call people anti-Semitic.
Yeah, and like that there's some worldwide conspiracy that, these people have been kicked out of 109 countries 1,030 different times.
Weird, huh?
So for the last 2,000 years, everybody just got together around the world. There's no phones, but everybody's like, oh, you know what? The Jews are the bad guys. Let's just...
And again, if Christians were to actually read the Bible, I know that's hard. There's letters, there's paragraph, there's sentences. I know. If you read the Tanakh, which is the Old Testament on it, you actually understand that all those expulsions written in their own Tanakh, say the Old Testament, is God letting them know, hey, you are doing something wrong. You need to come back to me, pay, and look what you're doing to those people who are doing that to you, and find a way to say you're sorry. That's actually, it's written there. And rabbis will tell you as well. There's the rabbis out now on YouTube, they're talking about it. Those expulsions is God let him know, hey, wake the hell up. You are not following my law, and this is why it's happening to you. But no, now they've entered a different word, anti-Semitic. Now we're the victim. Instead of God telling them, you ain't no victim, I'm doing this to you so you can wake up. But again, for Christians, that will actually have to be opening up the Bible and reading it. I know words. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Persecute them. And then why did they let them back in the country? Because they got kicked out of countries, they got kicked out of 109 countries, but they got expelled 1,030 times, which means they got accepted back in the country, kicked out again, accepted back in, kicked the fuck out again.
Yeah.
Right? So like, this is not
totally opposite of the blacks. Everybody wants the blacks. They're taking them as slave labor.
Well, yeah, speaking of which, I mean, I'm sure you guys know who is behind that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, yeah.
Yes, and this is, like Farrakhan, lined this out.
You hate him.
The secret relationship between blacks and slaves, blacks and Jews, and he lines it out from Jewish texts. This is all the slave ships, they were owned by Jews. During the Jewish holidays, they shut down the slave trade. I mean, this is not something that is a conspiracy theory. This is something that you can look up and you see the
fact.
Yeah, the massively disproportionate amount of Jews that own slaves in the U.S. compared to just whites. Like whites, I think it was 0.3% or something, and Jews was 40% of them owned slaves. So you look at this and it's like, man, every time there's a fucking problem, it kind of all goes back to the same
the
people.
Usual suspects.
Right? So it's like, man.
Jew activities.
Yeah, how many times do you got to see a coincidence to start connecting fucking dots?
Yeah. You're not really against Jewish people. You're against the Zionist. The Zionist supremacy.
No. I'm against Jewish supremacy. Right. And I think that's a very important thing to articulate because a lot of people say Zionist, and I think that gets confusing.
Okay.
And I'm not against all Jews. I'm not just saying, all Jews are bad. But what I am saying is that they are causing a disproportionate amount of problems, and that I think Jewish supremacy is the issue. And I think it comes from their religion, this idea that they're better than other people, that they can steal from other people, that they can lie to other people, that they can rape non-Jews, that they can, that if, I don't know if you're aware of this, but they have it in their Talmud. It says that if a Jew has sex with a girl that's under 3 years old, that it's the death penalty. But it's not the death penalty for the Jew, it's the death penalty for the 3-year-old girl because she caused a Jew not to have sex with a minor, but to have sex with a non-Jew, and that's why you should kill the baby, because she caused him to sin, and the sin wasn't fucking the 3-year-old, the sin was fucking a non-Jew. So like, and I'm not making this up. I can literally read this to you word for word. I actually posted this on my fucking Twitter, and then they tried to like label it as hate speech, and I'm like, this is a direct translation from your fucking Bible.
Not the Bible, Talmud. It's a little bit different. It's how it's the law. How, and a lot of people don't know this. Again, 99.999% of all Christians don't even know what a Talmud is, what it has to do. They think it's the Old Testament. It's not. They believe when the Torah was revealed to Moses, also the Talmud was also revealed, which is how to interpret the law and so on. So it's like how to interpret it. We kind of like saying the Sunnah of the Prophet. That's what the Talmud is. Of course, it's everybody and their mama has written about it on there. That's why if you talk to the Jewish people who are Orthodox, that they don't. If you ask them, do you follow the Torah? They say no. They say they follow the rabbi because they're following the Talmud. That's actually how it works.
I have the clip. I have the right here.
Right there.
What's that?
It says it right there.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
A girl who is 3 years and 1 day old, who father arranged her betrothal through intercourse, as the halakhic status of intercourse with her is that of intercourse, is a halakhic census. I know I'm butchering that word. And in a case where the childless husband of a girl 3 years and 1 day old dies, a childless husband, if his brother, the Yaman, engages in intercourse with her, he acquires her as his wife. If she is married, yeah, that's right there. That's just one of many things.
That is nuts. So this is not a conspiracy. This is a fact out of the Talmud.
That is in the Talmud, and that is their Jewish book of law. And if you look up what, how they define the Talmud, it is like the central, you could just Wikipedia Talmud. And
it's actually more sacred than
it's like the,
than the Torah,
the
actually.
second, if not the most important text of
Next
rabbinic.
to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than the Torah, which is, Torah is just kind of like the Old Testament. So
Yeah, that version of the Old Testament. Hey, Joe, bring up that clip of that guy. I don't know who this guy is. Maybe you know who he is. He shared some information about what's been taking place in the Middle East and overseas, all the pain and suffering because of Bibi Netanyahu.
Oh, this guy's great. This is Sachs.
Our greatest disaster.
What's his name again?
I think Jeffrey Sachs.
Jeffrey Sachs. Okay.
I regard Netanyahu as having been our greatest disastrous president of the 21st century because he ran American foreign policy for 20 years and it cost us trillions of dollars. And where is the Middle East today? War in Syria, war in Lebanon, war in Palestine, unrest in Iraq, the war in Yemen, chaos in Sudan, chaos in Somalia, chaos in Libya. Great job, Bibi. You did a terrific job.
He ran foreign policy overseas?
Yes.
Who's that?
Bibi Netanyahu.
Oh, I mean, he's running everything in the U.S. He's telling us what to do. I mean, he's dictating these wars. I mean, he pretty much says it. Like, the U.S. does what I tell them to do.
He does say
it's crazy. I mean, that guy, he's a Jewish guy. But, I mean, that's proof. Not all Jews are bad.
Right.
He made a great fucking point. That guy, he made a lot of great points. He's a super fucking sharp guy. Yeah. And I think there's a bunch of other ones, So it's not like they're all fucking bad. And that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What I am saying is that it's not just the Zionists. And I think people say Zionists because they've been having fucking problems since long before, Israel, right? Like they've been being kicked out for, thousands of years.
Yeah. Right.
And the Talmud's been around for a long time, right? So I think it's more of a Talmud issue. I mean, obviously, like the whole Zionism, just deciding that somebody else's country is going to be yours and persecuting these people and treating them like second-class citizens and operating apartheid, like all that is fucking horrendous.
Right. So it's the culture of the Talmud. That's the main issue that a lot of people are having with them.
Which is basically like Judaism,
right?
That's Jewish law, and if you see like these things are being carried out, a lot of Jews will be like, oh well, we don't follow the Talmud or we don't read the Talmud or whatever, and it's like. Yeah, but you had a bat mitzvah, or bar mitzvah or whatever, and they tell you that you're better than other people there. They tell you that they're chosen people. It's like how many times do you have to hear that you are better than other people? Look, when you're a kid, if your dad tells you, like it's okay to steal from other people, or it's okay to steal if you get away with it, just don't do it from Christians. Like you're just gonna do things differently. Like if you think that's okay, it's obviously more convenient to take money that's not yours.
Right.
So what I'm saying is when you start off with this belief system that you're better or that, you're within a tribe and, take care of your tribe, but fuck everybody else, charge interest to everyone else except for your people.
There's different rules for them against other people.
Even though nothing about that is in the Tanakh, the Old Testament, charging interest is a war against God himself. There was nowhere leeway when it was revealed. And all of a sudden, oh, we could do it to other people. Yep, Holy Spirit. They pulled the Christianity, Holy Spirit, baby Jesus. Yep, we could do it to other people.
People's like, it seems like to me when I hear people talking this, it's like we're their instruments for them to live a better life.
Yeah, we're like their cattle, we're their slaves, and it says that in like their, basically, like their prediction is that Jews are going to rule over the world and that they're going to have a certain amount of Goyim slaves or whatever. I mean, it's like this is just intertwined in all of their teachings. And so the problem is when you have people that are in power that believe they're better than everyone else, then you're going to have big fucking problems, and we're seeing that.
Yeah, right. Let's go to that clip of Trump and Bibi Netanyahu. This actually shocked me when I saw this. There's actually video of Trump actually tucking him in his chair.
I was just about to say, where he pushes his fucking chair.
Yeah, and there we go with Muslims voting for Trump. Oh, he's going to save us too. I don't know when the Ummah is going to wake the hell up. I really don't know when. I don't understand why the West is controlled by who? So the West will never want us. It's like, wake up, Ummah. Stop it.
Jared.
Yeah.
Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it.
I swear to God.
We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something different. Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years. We'll take over the Gaza.
So for everybody that voted for Trump, go clap yourself. Because you're a moron, just like everybody else. You are a moron. You should believe you're a moron. Believe it, take it, own it. This is what he wants to do. Kick everybody out of there, make it into something else. Of course, taxpayers, Americans, Christians, who paid to blow them all up and get them killed, get them out of there, and also going to pay to reconstruct it. For who? Yeah. Muslims are morons. Just as much as Christians. And that's the proof.
Clean up their mess.
Yeah, look at that comment Harley plays.
Yeah.
That's why you guys aren't president. Right? He's making moves outside the box. We have no choice but to see where it goes from here. He's Jewish.
Yeah. He's the epic meal.
Shocking.
He's the epic mealtime guy.
Yeah,
Right,
Yeah. Yeah. He's thinking out the box, huh?
Oh, yeah.
He's thinking outside the box. Y'all been doing that to that country for what, the last 50 years? And he's thinking outside the
Over the
box.
Gaza.
What a novel idea.
Yeah, let's go to that drone footage of the Gaza Strip. Like when I saw that message, I was like, man, I can't believe what I'm seeing. And then when you look at this drone footage of a Gaza, yeah, it's man, it is. It's like
It's like apocalyptic,
Paid for
look at that.
by
So
the
now
West.
what are these people supposed
Paid
to do?
for
They're
by all
supposed to
these
go back
Christians.
to that? Or actually, I guess they're now not supposed to go back to that. They're supposed to just leave their fucking country and be completely...
That's crazy because they said they bombed these houses, these apartments, these hospitals.
Let's go to
because
Sunday service
they're
and say
using people's
hallelujah.
Shields, Hamas is
And
there.
baby
But
Jesus.
how is Hamas in every house?
Well, let's just talk about that for a second. I don't give a fuck if Hamas is in a hospital. That doesn't give
Right.
you the right to blow it up.
Right.
Just like if there's a fucking school shooter in a school and your kids are there, do you want them to blow up the fucking school?
Great point. Great point. Yeah.
Like, Guy robs you in Compton. Do you just carpet bomb Compton?
Right.
Like,
Yeah. During
Like,
these
well, like
riots.
what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
what,
during
what
the
kind
riots,
of, what
during
kind
George
of logic
Floyd.
is that?
Yeah. During the riots, during George Floyd, we didn't drop bombs on those people rioting and stuff.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's not what you do. You don't
Right.
kill fucking civilians. So,
Right.
I mean, and it's not like they don't have like tip of the spear military technology. They've
Right.
got snipers, they've got, all sorts of things, drones, whatever.
Not a Muslim saying it.
And they could be conducting Navy SEAL operations, kicking in doors, killing Hamas leaders. They don't need to carpet bomb refugee camps. They don't need
Right.
to fucking blow up hospitals. They don't need to blow up mosques.
Right.
Like, I don't care if there is a bad guy in there. If there's a bunch of women and children, you don't fucking blow it up.
They blew up a truck
Weird.
of humanitarian aid that was coming in. The people in the truck and everything. And they got the stickers saying it's humanitarian aid, and they blew them up and killed them. They said, they thought they were pretending to be.
You talking about the soup kitchen workers that
Yeah.
registered with the IDF and told them their exact positions, and then they targeted them?
Yeah.
And they were in different cars, and they blew up each car, not
Yeah.
just one. It wasn't just like one rogue fucking missile. It's like, no, they
Exactly.
targeted these cars, that these cars registered with the IDF and said, hey, we are doing, humanitarian aid. We're feeding these people. These are our cars. And they fucking blew them up. And then,
Right.
and you see these like,
And Christians are still going to Sunday church.
these fucking
and
groups,
saying
like on
hallelujah
Telegram, they're like
and thinking
laughing
it's
about
good.
it. They have like video of, they're like holding up the passports and smiling over the dead bodies and shit and like celebrating. And it's like, these are fucking aid workers, idiots. Like,
We got a new giveaway, 47 Inauguration Edition. Ram, diesel, 2,500, 5 stench. That means 5 inches. Go to official. Yeah. No purchase necessary.
I was so proud. I used to be the biggest cuck for Israel. When Kanye went on Alex Jones' show, I was like, man, this dude's anti-Semitic. And I was on, I was a moron, right? And I was on
everybody
TikTok looking at videos, right? And these people said, free Palestine. I said, what are these people talking? Where the hell is Palestine at?
Never heard, yeah.
So I Googled it and I was like, oh shit, this place used to be called UK Palestine. And I started doing my research, and a Jewish lady on TikTok, she said, I lived in Palestine. She was Jewish. She said everybody's passports had Palestine. He said it actually existed before they turned to Israel in 46, 48.
Yeah.
He said it was Jews, Muslims, and Palestinians living
Christians
there.
too, right?
And Christians, yeah.
Yeah.
But the majority was not Jewish people.
Yeah.
It was Muslim.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they went over there and they just, murdered a bunch of people. They stole their homes. I mean, my friend Mohammed Hadid, Gigi and Bella Hadid's dad, they let in Jewish refugees, and the Jewish refugees kicked them out of their own fucking house. Can you imagine letting people into your house, like, come in, we'll save
Right.
you, and then they kick you out of your own fucking home? Like, it's just such a crazy concept.
Yeah.
Why do you think Republicans, like, I think Democrats get what's going on in Israel to the Palestinian people? I think, and that's saying something because Democrats are freaking idiots. Why do you think they get it and Republicans don't get it?
Well, I think they're kind of like the broken clock is right once a day type of thing, or twice a day, whatever.
Right.
I think that they see the settler colonialism or whatever, and they've been programmed with this whole like white supremacy is the fucking problem in America. And so they see that as like white supremacy. They see the obvious apartheid. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out, what's going on over there. The two sets of justice, the persecution. And so I think the Jewish narrative that has been pushed to these people has kind of backfired because, the Jewish Democrats say, oh, white supremacy is the problem and, racism is the problem and blah, blah, blah. And, we need DEI, we need all this stuff. And then the Republican Jews say, oh, it's the terrorists, it's the jihadists, right? So they kind of like, they both blame all these different groups when it's the fucking Jews that are causing all these problems. But the diversion, it keeps the right thinking, oh, the terrorists, right? Like we got programmed. Like every fucking movie I ever saw, the terrorists were the bad guys. The jihadi terrorists. They were always the fucking bad guys. They always had a turban on.
Muslim.
Always Muslim. Always fucking,
Never Israeli.
never Israeli. No. And so you get programmed with this stuff and you see it enough and you just, you start to think, okay, well, these are just bad people and you dehumanize them. I was in the military. I was in the military 4 years. My friends, I just remember being in there. It's like, yeah, fuck these Hajis and, they come up with names for them. And then later on, they kind of look back and they're like, fuck, what if that wasn't a bad guy? What if that was me? What if somebody showed up in my fucking house and kicked my fucking door in? I'd grab my gun and defend myself. That's what that guy did, and I killed him for it, And I think when you dehumanize a population, it's easy to rationalize out doing this stuff. And so that's what they do. They tell the right, like, these are Muslims, they're all fucking terrorists, they're the scumbags, they're the problem. And so you have all
inbred. They always say they're all inbred savages. Animals.
Yeah, inbred, camel fucker, goat fucker, whatever, all this stuff, And I bought into it too, man.
They do fuck camel and sheep out there.
Well, rednecks do it too. Rednecks do it too.
There might be some truth in the goat fucking part, but regardless, you get indoctrinated with this stuff, and then you're just like, well, they're the problem, and then you just shut everything off. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's why they've still got the right saying, oh, Israel are they're the white guys, they're the cultured people, they're they have a democracy, they're the only democracy in the Middle East, and they're living amongst
that's
these
a democracy in Israel.
Yeah, right, exactly. And so, but that's what they're programmed with. Right. Is like that's the one country that's like us,
right?
And they're surrounded by all these bad guys, and we got to help them and.
It's just a big lie.
It's just bullshit.
Yeah.
I have no man. What the hell were they thinking putting a bunch of white looking Jews around a bunch of Arabs? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, that's the funny thing is, they talk about Semites, and most of the Israelis are not actual Semites. They're from fucking Europe.
Europeans?
Yeah. Eastern European Ashkenazi Jews. And they did the DNA studies. I think it was like John Hopkins did a DNA study, and like 80% of the Palestinians are like actual Semites that are linked to that land.
Right.
And like 97% of the Israelis are not. And so, and then you find out that DNA testing is illegal in Israel. Like you have to get a court order.
Well, no. DNA test it's not illegal, but there are legal restrictions on them. There's some legal restrictions. What restrictions? What? You either do it or you don't. I love it. God, the West is going down in flames.
To get a DNA test. And this is like one thing of the long laundry list of, of hypocrisy of like, the owner of 23andMe is Jewish, but they don't allow that there.
Right.
The owner of Pornhub, the owner of OnlyFans, like the owners of all these like porn sites are Jewish, but they don't allow that in Israel.
Even though Israel has the biggest HDTV parade ever in the world, in the Holy Land.
In the U.S., it's open borders. In the U.K., it's open borders. It's race mixing. It's, do this, diversity this, diversity that.
Right.
Not in fucking Israel. Show me how many fucking Jewish Israeli women are married to black guys.
Yeah.
And show me how many fucking, Israeli men are married to black women. It's like it doesn't happen then. And you know what happened when they had black Jews go there from Ethiopia? They fucking sterilized them.
That is true. That is true.
I'm not making this up. You can fucking Google it and you'll see it in like Haaretz or whatever. Because I use Jewish publications because they rat on themselves all the time.
Right.
And so yeah, that's what they did. So when the actual black Jews went there, they fucking sterilized them.
How did they do that?
They gave them birth control that sterilized them, like without their consent, without their knowing it.
They told them it was like aspirin or something.
Well, I don't know what the premise was.
Yes, Ethiopian women in Israel given contraceptive without consent. That is true. That is true. It's in the Guardian. That is actually true. And you know what? If United States followed that weirdly, this influence in South America as well. Yeah. So,
but you can.
He probably thought it was Tylenol.
Yeah, look at there you go, right there.
Ethiopian women in Israel given contraception without consent.
Yeah, and some of those contraceptives were like permanent.
Oh, so they did it to the women.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm not making this shit up. Like, and I didn't like I said, like the more you start to dig and the more you find out about this stuff, the more fucked up it is. And then it's like, oh, it's just the Israeli government. And then you look at the polls, it's like, no, like 65% of the fucking Israelis like are on board with this or think that they should be using more force. So it's like the population is behind this nonsense. And a lot of them think they're not, doing enough.
Right.
And
I had a
We got invited to Israel. I didn't go because that's an accident waiting to happen. I look just like Hamas. So when I see our leaders go over there, like Trump, I see I had a person go over there that I knew. To walk down certain places in Jerusalem or in Israel, you have to wear their hat. What's it called?
Yarmulke.
Yarmulke. Just to walk down the street, you have to wear that. Or if you go inside of one of their
Trump had to wear it. Obama had to wear it. Everybody who goes over there, you have to wear the hat.
Well, you want to be wearing the hat, or else you get fucking spit on.
Right, because I see a lot of Christians.
You get spit on?
Yeah, they spit on Christians. Yeah, if they see a cross or they know that you're Christian or you have a Bible, they'll spit on you. And they openly say it. That's another thing you can Google.
It's a tradition, right, Dan?
Yeah, no, they say it. Yeah, it's a Jewish tradition. It's like, and that's what I'm saying is like,
I came across those videos.
And it's like, oh, we've been persecuted. It's like, no, motherfucker, you guys have been acting like assholes, spitting on Christians, poisoning their fucking wells, killing children.
And Christians still going to Sunday church. The hallelujahs going, oh, hooray for Israel. I don't know which one's dumber. The Muslims who think the West is somehow going to save them with voting for Trump, or Christians. Like, are they? Like, how far? How much far up your own anus do you have to put your head to not see this? Like, am I the only one? Am I just me? Oh, why aren't you a Christian?
Were they like Ethiopian or something? They look kind of dark.
Oh, I mean, there's no shortage of these videos. There's like literally thousands of these videos.
Yeah.
If you want to find videos of Jews spitting on Christians, there was no end to that. There will be thousands.
So
and thousands.
why did? That's what I don't get. You have Christians here in America, especially within our government, and then you see Christians how they're getting persecuted and treated over there in Israel. It's like I don't even understand what's the conflict between when it comes between different religions. I mean, they told us a bunch of lies about Muslims. They say Israel's our greatest ally, but when you see what they do to Christians over there, spitting and mocking them, and they willing, while in the United States they call out a lot of hate here, but it's like I think it's all just BS here, and they are the true haters. I mean, can you actually say that these people that occupy Israel right now, are they actually Semitic people?
I don't think they're Semites,
Yes.
and I think they hate Christians.
They're not Semites, but they're actually following the Talmud. To be a real Orthodox Jew, yeah, that's already been proven in the Talmud.
And I think we're taught that, Judeo-Christian values, which is just a fucking bullshit word.
Right.
Because,
I don't even know what that means.
It
Judeo-Christian.
means bullshit. It means utter bullshit. So Peter Schaefer, he was the head of Judaic studies at Princeton for like 15 years, and he was the director of the Jewish Museum in Berlin, and very well read. And he wrote a book called Jesus in the Talmud. And he talks about what the Talmud says about Jesus, and that basically he's a total scumbag piece of shit. He's in hell. He's burning in human feces and sperm, and that the Virgin Mary's a whore, and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And so the idea of Judeo-Christian values, when one group
Judeo-Christian, why aren't you a Christian? I mean, not only are they clueless, but they don't really about their own book. I mean, do I have to spell it out?
thinks that, and not just one group, it's not just the Christians that think that Jesus was a great man. Well, they think he's God or whatever, but the Muslims, they think that Jesus was a great prophet. So these two religions are actually like pretty similar. One thinks he's God, one thinks he's a great prophet, but either way, it's, the majority of the world thinks that Jesus was a great man. It's only the Jews that don't. They're literally like the only ones that think he was a piece of shit.
Well, they killed him, right? Them and the Romans, right?
Well, they
Even Gandhi was like, I think Jesus was a great man. I just don't like his followers. Even Gandhi, like Buddhist, I'm telling you. It's like, I mean, how do you put this into Christians' heads so they can wake up? Like, what else do you have to do? Like, what else do you have to do?
They definitely killed him for sure. Well, they ordered it. I mean, it's kind of like,
And he
you know,
died.
if the president
Alhamdulillah.
orders an assassination, the
Alhamdulillah
president
for-
killed you, not the
for Allah
person that like
subhanahu wa
shows up at your
ta'ala.
door.
He saved him.
Right?
Alhamdulillah.
Like, you know, it's
gonna come
not the
back.
guy that was like wielding the axe, the guy that told the guy wielding the axe to kill you. So, the Jews definitely killed Jesus. It's unequivocal. And the weird thing is that was just like
it's not.
undisputed, agreed upon knowledge until recently. And I remember it was like, I don't know how many years ago, but not that long ago, I just like Googled, did the Jews kill Jesus? And it was like 14 articles saying no. And it's like, what? Like the Bible says it, like, wait, what are you guys talking about? And it's crazy. And then, you know, you look, it's like Google is Jewish owned, AI is Jewish owned. It's like all these things like OpenAI, like all this stuff. And so you just get really like biased information, but even with that biased information, you can still find the truth.
Yeah, right. You can.
And the truth is that, you know, they think Jesus is a piece of shit. And
Now, Jesus, he was Jew, right? He was a Jew, right?
well, so
Palestinian
he,
Jew, right?
you know, that's kind of disputed. I think he was more of a Palestinian than a Jew. I mean,
Well, that makes a lot of sense now.
yeah,
Well, they're all Semites.
Yeah.
Palestinians, the Jews that were there in that era, they're Semitic.
Well, it
Yeah, the
explains why they
Sephardic
hate him
Jews.
so much, Keith. He's Palestinian.
Hey, do you have a? Do you have a?
Here it is. Here it is. But Christians, it's the Muslims that are the bad ones. The Muslims. It's the Muslims now.
So these are the kids acting like this.
so these are the kids. So obviously they're being taught this from a young age. You know,
Right.
this is not something they just like woke up and like, oh, we hate Christians. They're taught to hate Christians.
Right.
And the elders.
By the children?
I will slap the hell out of one of my kids if he tries to do something like that.
What the?
That is nuts.
It's tradition, though, guys.
It's tradition, huh?
Well, that's why they despise her, because she's a Christian. She
Kicked
believes-
her. They're hitting her, kicking her. I mean, I'm telling you, I've seen them slap Christians in the face. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
This is what Christians are going, no, but we have to back Israel.
He said, "Don't incite people."
Just standing
I
there.
never saw this one.
What is this?
Oh, they took somebody's cross and they're like stepping on it.
We are forbidden as Muslims to do that. Completely and utterly forbidden. You can't be taking somebody's, that's their, no. They themselves later on want to say, you know what, there's only one God. True, but no, we are forbidden. But we're the bad guys. Once you're a Christian, you gotta be out of your mind.
Judeo-Christian values.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What is Judeo-Christian values? I'm like, they hate Christians.
Yeah.
Hey, it's bugging me. I didn't know that y'all brought up the fact that Trump.
Oh, he tucked him in. Put the trap on.
Can I see that?
Oh, this
I
one's
couldn't
gonna
believe
piss
when
you
I
off.
saw
You
that.
haven't seen this yet?
I have not seen this.
Get ready to be angry. This one's gonna piss you off more than the spitting. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Anything else?
For every Muslim out there that voted for Trump, because somehow more brainwashed Ummah would think somehow he was going to do something. There we go. That's where your vote went. You moron. You complete imbecile. There's your vote. There you go.
I can do for you.
That is crazy. What are people saying in the? Oh, it's not that many comments.
Well, it's just one clip, but the clip like went everywhere.
Yeah, it's absurd. I called this though.
Yeah.
I said this before the election. I was like, you know, everybody thinks that, Trump is going to be this great savior, and he's obviously going to be much better than Kamala for sure. But
right.
people will just blindly follow him. That's the scary part about Trump, is that people will blindly follow him a lot further than Kamala. Yeah. So if Kamala wanted to just basically take over Gaza and do all this stuff, people would be like, "Fuck that! Who's behind this?" They start asking a lot more questions. They're going to blindly follow him a lot further. So I don't know.
You think he's going to be successful in taking over Gaza Strip?
I have no idea. I just think that's such a disaster. But
even if he did turn into a river area, that's like a prime spot to commit a terrorist attack.
I just don't think that's any of our business. It's like, it's Palestinian land. It's like we're in NATO, so we should be following like NATO. You can't just steal land. Like, that's not a thing.
Right. Yeah.
And that was like one of the reasons why we established NATO, is to like stop people. It's like, otherwise the bigger countries can just go and take over all the smaller countries, and then it's going to be,
That's exactly what we're doing.
Am I the only one to hear that?
Palestine.
Well, that's kind of the point, right? It's this whole greater Israel project. Because, if you look at what's happening on the West Bank is completely separate from Gaza. And the West Bank is unequivocally Palestinian land. And they're just like building settlements. They're burning villages. They're burning people's houses. They're bulldozing houses. They're burning their trees down. They're killing them and just murdering them.
Right.
There's a lot of really fucked up things happening on the West Bank. And there's no Hamas up there. It's not, the West Bank is completely separate, and they have no fucking business being there, and they're just developing it. And it's illegal. Like, it's just unequivocally illegal. So,
it's all war crimes, right?
Yeah, that is a war crime.
And we are part of it. We funding it.
What
makes us war criminals?
Not only are we funding it, but we're defending it as well. How many of our congressmen and senators came out and like basically condemned the International Criminal Court?
Yeah, because they made Bibi Netanyahu a war criminal, right?
They did their job. That's all they did. They did their job, and our politicians are going, "How dare you? We don't do our jobs, so how dare you do yours?" And Christians are backing all that up.
Yeah, well, they charge them with war crimes. Yeah, most countries other than the U.S. are, really against it. What he's doing is super fucked up. It's not like a maybe. You can't blow up fucking embassies. Like, he's literally doing the definition of terrorist attacks. He's bombing refugee camps. He's bombing hospitals. He's murdered foreign leaders in embassies. He's blown up embassies. He's targeted soup kitchen workers. They've killed a bunch of journalists. They've killed tons of children. And they're just, they're stopping humanitarian aid coming in. They've cut off water. They've cut off electricity. The list of war crimes this guy's committed is like a mile long.
Why doesn't Fox News cover it? You mean Fox Jews channel?
Yeah, Rupert Murdoch, he's a super Zionist,
Exactly.
And, there's people that say he's a crypto Jew. I don't know. That, like, the crypto Jew thing is real. Like, throughout history, there's been, many Jews that have concealed their affiliation with, Judaism. So,
Change their names.
yeah,
it's a lot of that.
Well, fucking, who's that dipshit in South Florida? Mark Cuban.
Yeah, Mark
he
Cuban.
changed his name.
Yeah, Mark Chabinsky or whatever is. Yeah, like that. No, that's his real name.
Yeah.
Bibi, he changed his name too, right?
Yeah, Milanowski. Yeah, because you don't want to sound like a Polak, right? So you have all these. A lot of them, not just him, but many of the Israeli leaders have changed their names, and they've done that through history. They do it, and they always point to the Holocaust. Oh, it's because of the Holocaust and because of persecution and persecution. And it's like, okay, you guys have been persecuted for thousands of years, for just because people don't like Jews, but yet they keep letting you back in. You keep fucking up, and it's not like throughout history they don't have like tons of paintings of like Jews sacrificing children, and they haven't found tons of children. There's just, it's just mountains of evidence. If it was 10 times, if it was 20 times, 100 times, whatever, but 1,030,
Right.
like they got the whole thing. Like, you've been kicked out of 103 bars,
Oh, everybody. Oh, yeah. Everybody got up and walked out. United Nations.
Ladies and gentlemen, order.
Good.
All this information is so easy to access. Why? When the hell do you think Republicans are going to wake up?
You know what's crazy too? When I look at Fox News, they see they see the Palestinian protests here in America. They just show one side them burning our flag.
Well, they mock them. Yeah,
and they show them just burning our flag.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And they
They
try
don't
and
tell the
paint
story
them,
behind
yeah,
it.
they try and paint them as anti-American. So you have, the good old rednecks coming in like,
Here
fuck
we go.
them and, a bunch of terrorists and, they're burning the flag and they try and make it about, a patriotic thing, which is absolute bullshit because true patriots put America first. They don't put fucking Israel first. And everything that we do to help them is putting Israel before America because all this stuff. Look, we have given them, if you combine it, and you actually have to add the compounding interest because every dollar that we've given them, we borrowed to give them. We've been in debt for like 100 fucking years.
Right.
So since Israel's conception, every dollar that we've given them in aid, we borrowed to give them from the Jewish private bank, the Federal Reserve, which is not a government bank. A lot of people don't know that. But we have borrowed all that money. So you have to do the compounding interest. And if you do the compounding interest, we've given them $9.6 trillion in
And there
foreign
it
aid.
is.
If you add them, and obviously we've been...
Who's benefiting off that interest?
Well, I mean, the Fed, but at the end of the day, it's just coming out of the American taxpayers' money because the Fed just prints more money, or the
Inflation.
government borrows more money, and they have to pay interest on that, and eventually, the rooster's going to come home to roost, and you got to pay off your fucking debt.
right.
And so this whole idea that we could get, whatever, $36 trillion in debt is just fucking crazy. And you look at like the stuff that JFK wanted to do, like, he wanted to keep the dollar, on the gold standard, which meant that you could only print so many dollars because it had to be backed up by gold, which would give it, intrinsic value. And, his opposition to the, Israeli nuclear program, him wanting to, register what is now AIPAC as a foreign, entity.
And this whole Trump is going to, quote, get all this stuff out there. He's not going to. You see how the chair? You see the chair thing? Okay. Just let him right now. All the morons out there who just blindly think that he's the new Messiah. And all these Muslims voted for him also think it's going to be a savior. It is.
And you look at all the stuff that he wanted to do, and then it should come as no surprise that the guy was fucking killed. And it all points in one direction, right? So I just, man, you can't just stop seeing all these constant red flags, and everything points in the same direction.
Right. A lot of people, when they speak of Jimmy Carter, Democrat president, they pretty much trash him, say he's like one of the worst presidents, if not the worst president ever. This is what he had to say about what's going on in Palestine decades ago.
He was actually probably the last decent, or I'm going to say this, the only decent human being and president in this country. And that's why they hate him. He just like JFK, he knew what was going on. And again, the people that most hated, he was actually not just a decent human being, but actually a good person, an actual believer of God, not like 99.99% of all Christians out there who are applauding the genocide. No, this guy.
Palestinians can't even ride on the same roads that the Israelis have created or built in Palestinian territory. The Israelis never see a Palestinian except their Israeli soldiers. The Palestinians never see an Israeli except at a distance, except the Israeli soldiers. So within Palestinian territory, they're absolutely and totally separated, much worse than they were in South Africa, by the way. And the other thing is, the other definition of apartheid is one side dominates the other. And the Israelis completely dominate the life of the Palestinian people.
Why don't Americans know what you have seen?
Americans don't want to know.
You know who called that out recently is Dave Chappelle.
Yeah. That's how I found that video. I said, "What? Jimmy Carter? I thought he's an asshole." I saw Dave Chappelle
Nixon
talking
too.
about it.
Nixon named the Jew, and you saw what they did to him. I mean, Gaddafi. I mean, he called out. He said that that Mossad killed JFK. I mean, he got them off the Western banking system. I mean, he was actually doing a lot for his people.
It was.
And, we had to overthrow him for the benefit of Libya. And then now you can buy a fucking slave in Libya today. for like $400.
Christian values.
Wow.
Right. So like you look at how it was under Gaddafi and, you know, then they just keep telling you this shit like, oh, you know, we have to topple the Saddam regime and we have to do this and we have to do that. All of them are countries that oppose Israel. And after we, you know, topple their regime or invade their country, those countries are always infinitely worse off.
Right.
Every time.
And they keep saying we're supposed to be pro-democracy. They turn over them. I mean, they destroy democracy.
I mean, if they really gave a shit about democracy, we wouldn't be fucking backing Ukraine. I mean,
Right.
that guy was not fucking elected.
Right. What's
He's
the story
a
behind
dictator. He's a fucking dictator. He's killed his opposition. I mean, he was not elected by his, you know, I mean, he is the definition of a dictator.
that? Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, a lot of people on the left say they are the modern day George Washington.
I don't know too much about George Washington, but I know that guy is one of the most corrupt politicians out there right now, and he happens to be Jewish. Shocking.
That's an amazing coincidence.
It really is. You know, the two places we're giving the most aid, Israel and both run by Jews. Shocking coincidence. They're
Right.
they're like 1/5% of the world population, and somehow they're running Mexico, which is like a 98% Christian country.
And this is by far, and Mexican brothers and sisters, I pray for you, but this is wild. Wild. And we're going to get to that point. The U.S. is going to get to this point.
I was like, how did they elect a Jewish politician?
Well, I'll tell you, it was the bloodiest election in Mexico's history.
Right. They killed off the opposition, too.
A lot of the opposition. Like, it was like 70 people or something got killed.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Joe Rogan talked about that. It's the bloodiest election they've ever had.
They had the cartels do it?
Well, yeah. I mean,
More
I would
likely.
somebody, you know.
Those guys don't have any
Somebody
souls.
did it. But, I mean, it's just, you look at this and
Christian values.
I feel like they're just a lot more brazen than they were before.
Yeah.
It's like we have so much power, we don't even give a shit about perception anymore. That's where I feel like we're at today.
That's why I feel.
Claudia Sheinbaum, whatever. Sounds very Mexican. Definitely someone I would vote for if I was in Mexico, voting for my Mexican leader. I mean, though, was elected the county's first female president after bloody election campaign that saw 37 candidates assassinated. And not her. Christian values.
Candidates assassinated.
What?
Mexico elects first female president, and she's an Israeli.
Yay.
Yeah, that
or
was just the
DI.
candidates. there were. Imagine. I mean, when do you even have 37 candidates for anything?
Right.
Like, what do we have for president? Like 7 candidates? Like, they had 30
We talking about
fucking
Mexico
candidates.
here.
So that means they had to have a candidate. That motherfucker gets smoked. Next guy comes up. That guy gets smoked. Next guy comes up. That
You
guy
gotta
gets
be
smoked.
a damn idiot and say, "Hey man, 20 people's been killed."
And I'm coming up, like-
you'd have put your name in the hat. Yeah, I think I can win this.
But like, think about that. What positions ever had 37 fucking candidates, and they all died? Like,
How did they die?
It's just
they're
a
all
coincidence.
killed.
What? 2 to the head, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Like, by suicide. Yeah, 3 bullets in the head.
He committed suicide. He's got 3 bullets.
Shots out, 3 died.
I mean, I'll leave it right there. This goes on for a lot longer. I'll put the link to the full video. I just when do people just start waking up? When do Christians? When do you no more brain cells, or are you not allowed to think by yourself? Is that what it is? Or are you waiting for a pastor to say that or mention any of those things? Or you're not allowed to read? You don't read your own Bible, so what? When do things just start clicking in your head? I don't understand. And Muslims out there, are you happy for your vote now? Are you happy? Even I knew that. I even knew that. See, I'm not a moron. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Assalamu alaikum.